In .NET there are a number of ways to compare equality, but the most fundamental means .NET provides for this purpose is arguably the virtual equals method defined on system.object. To show you this method, I have a class called food. This is a class that I'm going to develop throughout this course, and it represents, not surprisingly, a type of food. For now, the only thing this class contains is a string giving the name of the food and a constructor that forces me to set the name. And if we swap to the file containing the main method, you can see I have a main method which instantiates two foodstuffs, called banana and chocolate. And there's a line that checks them for equality using the objects.equals method, banana.equals with the chocolate reference as a parameter. The equals method returns a boolean, true if the two items are equal and false otherwise. And I have the result inside a console.writeLine which will tell me whether the two objects are equal. Intuitively, you would hope that banana does not equal chocolate, and of course if we run that, we get the answer false. So equals appears to work quite well here. And notice I didn't have to do anything in my definition of food to achieve this. The equals method is provided by system.object, so it's automatically available on all types, because all types ultimately derive from system.object. By the way, I suspect some of you may be looking at this code and thinking, this is crazy. You'd never write code like that. If you want to check for equality, you'd just write this, console.writeLine, banana equals chocolate. But the thing here is, we need to understand how equality works in .NET, and the starting point for that is the equals method. If you write equals, you're using the C# equality operator. And that's a very nice syntactical convenience that the C# language defines to make your code more readable, but it's not really part of the .NET framework. Indeed, the .NET framework has no concept of operators. .NET works with methods. If we want to understand how equality works in .NET, then we need to start with the things that the .NET framework understands. For that reason, I'll only be using .NET methods in this module, for the most part, so you can see how they work. That means some of the code in this module will look a bit unnatural, but as I mentioned earlier, we'll cover the C# equality operator in the next module. Back to Visual Studio, I'm now going to declare a third food instance. This is called banana2 and also has the name banana passed to its constructor. So what do you think will happen if I try to compare banana to banana2 using the equals method? Let's try it. It returns false. These two instances are not equal, and the reason is that the base objects.equals implementation evaluates reference equality. Its implementation tests only whether two variables refer to the same instance. In this case, it's obvious to us that banana and banana2 have exactly the same value. Both instances contain the same data. But equals doesn't care about that. It cares only that they are different instances, so it returns that they are not equal. Now I've told you that objects.equals is a virtual method. That means it's very easy to override it. If I wanted equals to compare the values of food instances, I could just type in override in Visual Studio. And Visual Studio has immediately given me a choice of things to override, including the equals method. I select the equals method, and Visual Studio has given me a function which I can use to put in my own implementation. There's nothing unusual about this. Equals is a perfectly normal virtual method. I'm not going to override it yet though. If you want to keep to good coding practice, you need to do a bunch of other things when you override objects.equals. I'll be showing you what you need to do later in this course, but for this module we'll just stick to seeing what Microsoft has given us out of the box, so I'll get rid of our prototype equals override for now.